So as I start to make breakfast today and do the last garden tour of the year, Gary is putting gutters up on the deck where I feed the hummingbirds. And I am getting ready to do a garden tour because it's going to be packed with information that you can use all through the year in your garden too. And maybe I won't get drenched the next time it rains. I wonder when it's going to rain. Oh, I love those hummingbird feeders. So cheap. And they're so good too. All right, let's get to the garden tour. It's been a month since I did a garden tour. I usually do it every 2 weeks, but a lot of you know I took a break. My dad had passed, so I just figured I'm gonna think about things and work in the garden, which I did. And I am still working. But this is the last garden tour of 2025. I can't even believe it. I don't even know where the years have gone, but you know what? It's been magnificent. Let's walk through the garden. And did I do things? Yes, I've been working. I want you to stop and listen for a minute. I've been standing out here and there's so many birds singing. It's so loud. Let's go over a little bit of the history of these gardens as we go through, because I want you to get ideas on how you can grow, whether you've got a tiny little patch, no bigger than this table, or something really big. Now, I have spread myself thin, no joke, but I also did it for multiple reasons, not just to push myself to the limit, but to give you ideas on different ways to grow. I mean, look at here. This is my turmeric garden. You could grow this anywhere. Look at the flower pots, free flower pots. Go to the nursery, see if they've got any. Look to see if people are throwing them out on the side of the road. Go to a florist and ask if they have any floral pots, because a lot of times their flowers come in this. There's no holes. You'll have to make holes, and they give them away. They don't want them. The flowers are delivered in that. They don't want to stack it around their shop. Their shop is too small to put all that stuff in. Ask. Don't be afraid to ask. The worst they're going to tell you is no. Tell them thank you for their time. Oh my goodness, we're going to have to take a stop. Look at the tree squirrel. I don't know if we'll be able to see him up there. Yep. He actually doesn't do any damage. It's the ground squirrels are the ones that get into things. But the tree squirrels, as you can see, they go up the trees and, well, the damage they do is if we've got fruit, they take them off. So let's walk through. This is my turmeric field, and I'm about ready to start pulling out almost everything. There's still a lot of greenery to it, which means the tubers, the rhizomes inside, may be getting a little bit, but looking at it, I'm gonna say it may be almost done. Like back here is done. I can tip that one. Now, I'm not gonna do a full garden harvest on this right away, because I'm gonna do it right here on the table, and I'm gonna do it with a dish pan. You know how I love my black dish pans? I get them at Walmart, they're so cheap. I'm going to dump it in there and then go through, collect all the turmeric and store it. And I'm going to do them one at a time because it's too overwhelming to do them all. Believe you me, I've done it. And you're talking about hours to go through each one. So I'm going to go through. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to dump it. I'm going to take the turmeric out that's in there. Then I'm going to re-put the pots back. No stakes. I put stakes in there. Pink is for turmeric and kind of a lime green is for ginger. When the stake is in there, it means it's planted. I cannot plant them back at this time of the year because if we get really cold in January and February and wet, then at that point, what happens is they rot. So I have to store them. And I have my own mad method of storing them in a tote, an 18-gallon tote, and it works fantastic. And then I'll plant them out, depends on our weather. It could be May, it could be April, it could be June. Look at this, nasturtium. Look at this. Remove that branch. Look at this. I've got nasturtium growing in there. I've got Malabar spinach. It set seeds everywhere. It didn't bother anything. So I've got all these pots, and this was just painted with any paint I had. A lot of this came from tester paint from Home Depot. I did that years ago. But then I've got also in here different geraniums that I am rooting. See, just put them in here and propagate them and let them sit with the plants. But look at this. This is normal. So a lot of times somebody texts me or sends me, information or comments on, oh my gosh, my turmeric and my ginger they're turning brown. It's normal. We're going into winter. They don't grow in the winter. They grow during the hottest times. And all this. So all this will be coming down, and all this will get composted. I can stuff the bottom of the pot with leaves, anything I want, and then the top will be soil. I will continue to water it, step back, all winter long, because it will all compost in. And by the time I put them back in the pots and then put a layer of soil on top, doesn't matter if I got it from the ground, out of a bag, out of another tote, they'll start to grow. In fact, the way I store them, they start to grow while I'm storing them. So let's see what's going on here. The trees are all going to lose their leaves. They're going to go to sleep for the winter. Look at that. And like I said, if I didn't say it, we're in the middle of December. The last 2 weeks left of this year. Isn't that amazing? And then we go to 2026. My chair garden. Yeah, I'm going to work on this over the winter little by little. I really should yank this out. It has gotten so big. It was a couple little pieces. You probably saw me plant them, or at least you saw it when it was tiny. They're even in pots. Look, that's a little pot. But the roots are down now inside the tote. Now this is doing so good because brassicas love cold weather. We're 40s at night and it's just thriving and loving it. Look at that. So there's a couple things I could do. I could knock myself out, pull it all out and start over for spring. Or see how much space there is? Load in leaves. See how I drop leaves in there? And then top it with some soil and let the thing grow for another year. Anything I'm not going to eat, technically, like let's say birds or bugs ate that, very easy. We make our own soil. How do we do it? Copy nature. If nature's got it right, we can get it right. Throw it in there. It will dry up in a few days, and then let's say, in a couple months or sooner, whenever I want, I'll load that in, not quite to the top with soil, anything scraped off the ground, because it's going to have all the nutrients of all these leaves that I'm taking off will be underneath. They'll be decaying, there'll be earthworms, microbes, everything eating it, and this plant's going to get bigger, which could be a problem. But for now, it's okay. Then I'll pull all the tomatoes out. I'm done. I'm not even going to try to keep them alive. Though they were fabulous, they've dropped so many seeds. I'll have great volunteers coming up in the spring, or I can plant something else. The cannas have broken that tote. Gary warned me. I love these flowers, but they get a massive root system, and they were only that big when I put them in, and yes, they have busted through the tote. So I'm going to yank those out when I get around to it. I'm going to put those in the bird garden, because why? The hummingbirds love these flowers, and so do the orioles when they come back. So that's going to be a wonderful addition to the garden. So I don't care. So what? It's a $6-7 tote. When I get to it, yank all that wonderful soil out of there and put that maybe on the top here. This is just a geranium in a pot, see? I just stuck it in there with the Malabar spinach that's growing, as well as there were tomatoes on both sides. And now I've got a beautiful geranium plant in there that I can move anywhere. And as you can see, look around the bottom. What have I done here? I just put these pots, and then I stick a piece of geranium in there. I don't have to think about it. I'm not catering to anything, and then it will grow. I've even got a celery here. Not my favorite. It's a red celery. But look at that. Again, take those leaves off, drop them in, because you want to build your soil for free. It's the best soil in the world. And like I said, it's exactly what nature does. Up there, that is our land. And I will tell you that we do not water it. We do not do anything to that at all, except Gary keeps it trimmed, and he has to go through and pull all the weeds out, and then we compost the weeds, and that is all we do. And it continues to grow and thrive and get bigger than we want. And the tree in the middle, let me zoom in for 1 second. I had that come up in a pot in the front yard one day, and it was growing and growing. It got to about 1 foot tall. I said, I've got this weird weed or tree growing, and Gary looked at it. He knew exactly what it was. It was an Australian type tree. He goes, I want that tree. He planted it up there a couple years ago, and he shapes it like a lollipop, and he loves it. It's going to get big, but he keeps it well, trimmed. So that has worked out good. And then we've got elephant food up there. We've got a pepper tree like this one. This one is not trimmed, but that one was trimmed by the city. They came out and offered to trim it. We took it down to the stump. It grew back, so we've got it bushy up there. And then we've got a lot of different native trees there, including some trees that are not native. Look at all this. And because we leave this here, this is a deer trail. The deer comes through here. I have literally sat here very quietly and just watch them mosey on by. They come in here, they eat off the tree, and then what do? They go down this trail, which I haven't gone down in a long time. And if Gary's got apples, they go to his garden and eat up all his apples. That's not a good thing, but he's trying to block the deer out. I think he put up a fence. These are apple trees I planted many years ago. This is a pomegranate tree I planted. Yet to have apples, no apples. Nectarines, yes. The second year we planted this, and this is planted by seed. Came up in the garden, yanked it out, threw it here. These nectarines grow really small, but they're freestone, so when you cut them, the stone falls out, and they're sweet as sugar. I love that tree. Really got to find a few more trees like that. These are apple trees that have not produced anything because I grew them from seed. Can't even tell you what type they are. So for now, I'm leaving them. I could graft them, but I just found out from a friend. He did the same thing 8 years ago, and he's getting apples now. So it takes a long time from seed, but that's okay. All right, so anyways, back to here. We'll clean this up for the spring. Right now, I'll leave it. See, I've got a massive celery in there. I don't know if you can see. Look at that. And with celery, keep it well watered, and you'll have really nice celery. We could do a whole lot on celery as well. This is broccoli. I think I snapped all the tops off already. See, there's more. It's sprouting broccoli, I believe it's called. And I use the tops to put in my eggs or stir fry or whatever. I've got red vein sorrel. I've got green sorrel over there. See, that's the green. That's the red. But it needs a lot of tender, loving care. But why do it now? As I go through here, I'll pull the brown leaves, and then we'll compost them right away. So I've got some garlic chives there too. But that's the story on this, and I love this. And the irrigation tubing. I can't live without this stuff. Tulle is number one. This has been up for over a year now. Look how nice. And you know what this is here for? To keep the ground squirrels out. And it did its job. Just clipped on with some paper binder clips. You can get those at the dollar stores. You can get those anywhere. A big package for like $1 or $2. They last forever. You can use clothespins. They're plastic. They snap. You can use the wooden ones, but guess what wood does? Gets too much dampness on it. It returns to the earth. So it starts to break down. But I found those metal ones go on forever. This one's probably, who knows, 8 years old and still, well, usable. So keep that in mind. But the Tulle, I always have the link. Let me explain this. Inside my description, under my videos. You have to go into the description. We're not talking about those little pictures that run along the bottom. That's different. YouTube puts those up. It's incorporated through YouTube. But I put up a separate link. So that Tulle is like $10, $9 and change. It is 54 inches wide, 40 yards, not feet, 40 yards long, and I get it for $10, less than $10, free shipping on eBay. Have been buying it from years from these people. And if you need it, check it out. Get it now. Be ready for spring. So you've got it, and they have all different colors. Go through. Some of the colors might be a little bit more. Who cares? They've got green, different greens. They got blacks. This is the turquoise. It kind of faded. Who doesn't matter. It does the job. And that is the cheapest way. But again, in my description, so hit the description, scroll down. You might see another word come up more, depending on if you're on a computer, a phone, a tablet. Hit more, and then it's whatever I wrote and added in. Click on it and take a look at it. You don't have to buy it, but if you want it, I'm telling you, it's the best, cheapest. You go to the fabric store, they're $2 a yard. Here, you're getting for $10, 40 yards. That's 40. And then the irrigation tubing, you can get that anywhere. I always drop in links if I can, but that is just 1/2-inch irrigation tubing. And there's a million ways of putting this stuff up. And I love it, and it lasts forever. Do you know when you buy this to put in a watering system, they tell you it would last for 8 years? I think it's gonna last longer. I've had this up for years, and it's great. Anyways, let's keep going. And then don't forget the totes. I use 18 gallons, but of course you can get 30. I always do tag those. I get them from Walmart. I find it the cheapest, and they deliver it to the house. And if you don't want it, it's returnable. Truck bed. This is going to be kind of left right now. I was out here the other day, and the song sparrows have taken it over. They've been chasing around other birds. They're probably going to nest in there like they did in the front yard last year. So I'm going to clean this up, probably drop in some containers in the front so I can just easily reach over and take out what I want. You know, if there's some squash or something growing, I don't know. This is purslane. This is old celery. Take this out and compost this back. And just kind of let it be wild for the birds. They're off the ground, so they're not going to be having a lot of problems with squirrels or rabbits. Squirrels can get in there, but if they don't smell anything they want, they may not bother. And then their eggs will be safer, because if squirrels or other animals find their eggs, they'll eat their eggs. And then over there, I've got a pomegranate growing. And that's what's going on here. Planning on doing something with the ponds. It's just difficult with the raccoons. I am thinking, let's walk over here. I planted the rosemary years ago. See how big that is? That's rosemary and an elephant food. Little plant stuck there, and now it's growing great with the pomegranate and all the geraniums. Geraniums to me are the best because you stick them in and forget about them and they grow. And then back there we've got aloe vera, and I've got more cannas, and there's probably a few other things. There's some seedlings over there. That's where I pulled the cannas from, the red ones. They grew in that pile there, and I just yank them out of the leaves. They're growing in the leaves. There's no soil there, it's just leaves. Yank them out and replant them. But they're in the back. Now, they're not getting as much water as in my totes, so they're not getting as big, but I water them so they get massive. But that's okay. And then here, like I showed you, the pomegranates. So I want to clean it up and hope that the raccoons don't make too much damage. Maybe I'll put more things in here that raccoons don't like. Like I can clean this up a little bit. And now that it's opened up more, my moringa's here, which is still green, but the pomegranate's losing the leaves. I can get some pots in there and get more milkweed in there. There is some native milkweed, and I'm not sure where it is, if it died back, but there's nasturtium in there. Of course, you see the geraniums and walking onions, and there's some succulents. I've got a lot of succulents. I'm going to put some succulents in there and then put in different milkweed, because I'm hoping that the raccoons don't like the smell of it. Maybe they'll just come get water and leave. But when they take a bath, they just tear everything apart. Nothing here now. I'm going to all this will be composted. Though the squash is trying to make a comeback, I don't think it's going to do much. That is green sorrel. I might just leave the green sorrel and put something on top. Look how beautiful that is. We do use green sorrel. You can steam that with a little butter, and it's really good. I actually add it to my green drink, but you could do it different ways. Tomatoes still growing, and I'll tell you, they just don't taste as good as when they're growing in the spring and summer and early fall. Now they kind of they almost have a winey taste to them. They're good for cooking, but I've noticed they don't taste as sweet and as good as the right time of the year. Though, pick them at the right time of the year and freeze them like I do, and you'll have tomatoes constantly. You just take them out and they're sweet like the day you picked them. Oh, this will be composted. Leave the onions. This will all be redone. I never planted in this. This year, what happened was a lot of tomatoes came up, and I just let them go, and they grew, but I want control of them, so I'm going to do it differently this year. I've got walking onions through here. This is just sow thistle. I'm going to let all this grow right now because the goldfinches love sow thistle. A lot of birds like that sow thistle. And you can eat this. I add this to my green drink when I go through. I just blend that up in with everything else. Melbar spinach. Oh, let me tell you, I don't want to touch this. These berries are reddish purple, and when you squish them, they're a dye. I have actually baked cakes and dyed the frosting, the white frosting, into a beautiful pink from those berries. No dye red, dye 40 or anything. Pure nature. Milkweed. And then in here, I'm going to go through here. Now, what's funny is in here is I didn't pick my garlic. So I want you to see this. See this cluster? That's garlic. So I didn't pick all the garlic, and they're starting to grow, but because they weren't separated, they're coming up in a big cluster. I'm just going to leave it. It's from Walmart. I did the cloves. Those were separated, but one of the cloves turned into a full bulb, and I didn't pick it out like I did the others, so it's just growing. It does need water. I'm going to have to hit this with water. There's nasturtiums growing in there, but that is what garlic looks like when you see that? when you don't pick it and it's coming up from the entire bulb. I think I'll put a little bit more soil on the top. Celery in there. So, and then there's nasturtiums. The seedlings are coming up everywhere, which is kind of odd. Wrong time of the year. This is beautiful. Oh. Make a salad, add in a leaf of this. Look how red this is. Let me see if you can see this. Look at that. Gosh, I cook with this. I do everything with this. This plant I want to cater to because the coloring is so good for our health, red like that. So I add in a little bit, whether it's a salad or stir fry or eggs or whatever. It's just gorgeous. So I'm going to cater to that. But, you know, I'm not going to do a whole lot. Now, this plant may go. It's beautiful. You would think, why would you pull out an eggplant? Because I'm not going to eat the yellow. I cooked it. Gary said how great it was. It was not. It was bitter. So I picked the yellow ones off. If it continues, and it's got a flower, if they continue to turn yellow, whole thing's being composted, and I'll either put a new eggplant in there or load it up with milkweed. See what I do with the milkweed? They've got their own containers. So if somebody needs milkweed, I can just grab it out and give it to them. Yes, we have tomatoes still growing. I mean, it's still nice, but like I said, it won't quite taste the same. So don't knock yourself out if you're looking for super tomatoes right now, this time of the year. But this is growing wild. I didn't plant this. And then more milkweed. I've got a turmeric in there. Malabar spinach. This is really wild. Look at this. Purple tree colored. You can't get any more purple than that. How beautiful. I got to get cuttings off that. This one's growing right in here. See how I put leaves all the time around it? Growing in there. A little bit of walking onions. Celery. That is more of the wonderful, oh my gosh, I just lost it. The one that breaks the totes. Look at that. Oh my gosh. The ones that are in down there. Yeah. I don't think it will break the black totes. I don't know if they're in a pot. No, they're actually growing in there. See. All right. Well, canis, that's what they're called. I'll decide later. They're actually really pretty. I might just leave them, but they're doing good. This avocado tree I moved here. I should cut it back and really try to graft on it. Milkweed. And then this is what Gary got from the side of the road. Somebody was cleaning a gardener, but they gave him that piece of the Mexican sage. And now we've got it all over from the piece. And yes, even back there, look at that. Tree colored all the way in the back. That's basically it. We're done here. Clean that up. I'm leaving the cars, but that's basically it. So that's here. Where should we go next? And I still have this tote here. Red vein sorrel, a couple little things in there. Kind of walking onions and stuff. Oh, we can walk over here. Let's change things up because of all the birds. Okay, my pizza garden. Well, it's not a pizza garden anymore. It's more of an herb garden. Some of them are going to die back. This is Thai basil. Then we've got in here holy basil. This is some, see the pink? I don't even have to think, even if it dies back. Turmeric, because turmeric always has a pink label. Sage growing. This will grow all winter. And this is an India mint. This was given to me by a friend. Maria brought that over. I believe that's the one she brought over. I've been adding that a little bit to my green drink. And then the basil, I collected a lot of seeds already, but they'll come up in the spring. But the basil's still growing. Look at that. You know, this one is 2 years old. This is in its second year. It didn't die back. It just kept growing. Oregano all over the ground. Look at that. More sage, oregano, and then this is a little rosemary. Look at the purple flower. Also in a small pot. You can't even tell. It's in a pot in the back. There's a small pot back there. I stuck it in there. Look how big it got. And then the thyme, I don't know if this thyme is still alive. It may not be, but I have another thyme here. And then some milkweed came up in the ground. But look at the oregano. I want to dig that up and get it in a pot. Look at the peppers from Walmart. They're all over the property. Now, the more you pick, the more they grow. So I really need to get some of these off because it will stop flowering sometimes if you don't pick them. So I'll get those off. And then I've got here, I'm going to clean that up and get more peppers growing. This is pepino on the top. It's a white fruit. You can eat it when it's ripe. It turns kind of yellow and purple. Then it's real sweet. When it's white, you chop it up and put it in stir fry. It's different. It's kind of a cucumbery, no sweetness to it, and go into different things. And that's the rainbow garden, and it needs a lot of care. And why? Because I let it go to the butterflies this year. I've got the hummingbirds lunch here, which should be moved, or leave that one, but start concentrating on the others, get all the milkweed out, which is something I want to get out. This is a weed, but I happen to like this plant. So I'm going to pull that out, put it in a pot, or put it in maybe the meadow down there, because it just grows into a beautiful bush and it's drought tolerant. More pepinos growing through here. No fruit on them, I don't think, right now. And then this is all milkweed. So I want to get the milkweed out. See, it's growing in a coffee can. So if anybody needs it around here, they have a lot of monarchs, caterpillars. I'll have it ready. Plus, we're going to need a lot. And then in here, I've got lettuce. I grow in milk containers to get the, the different plants growing. Now, this is not getting enough sun. See the black fly? Onions need a lot of sun. And if they get too much shade and too damp, they'll get black fly. And look at the mustard. Oh, I didn't show you the mustard. Against the wall over there, I got a mustard field. It came up in the ground. Gary's been watering it, and he uses it to put on his tostadas. He loves it. So that is really cool. And then, of course, this one got massive. And then look at another one down there. And then again, see all the geraniums in buckets? They could be moved anywhere I need them. Look at this wall. I'll tend to that later, but I still have tomatoes growing. Probably not getting enough sun. But I mean, they still are growing fruit. And peppers. This needs a good cleaning. Actually, they don't like the cold nights, but look at all the peppers down there. That's all peppers. Peppers back there, peppers there. More hummingbirds lunch. It was a little tiny plant. Not anymore. It got big, so some of that stuff will get moved. You got purslane, more peppers growing in here. But again, it's cold, so they're not going to grow really good. Potato mint, I'm hoping when I go to harvest this, when it dies back, that I've got tubers. Because last year I didn't have that many. But Gary's been taking a lot of cuttings. All you have to do is grab a little bit of this, snap it off, put it in a jar of water, and tender loving care, and you've got them growing all over. It grows these little tubers, and they taste just like a white potato, but you can eat them raw, or you can eat them cooked, whatever way you want to use them. And then in there, I just let the Malabar spinach grow and the milkweed. That's basically it. Gary told me I can have this. He was going to do something with it, and he's changed his mind, I think. And we did order 2 more of these. I'm going to set up another one, and he's setting up another one. That will be in the spring, unless we get to it sooner. Look at my fountain. It's barely hanging in there, but it's going. And the goldfinches come and take a drink. And then that's basically it through here. I got celery in here. Really needs a bigger container. Again, this is all potato mint. So when the time comes and it dies back, it does not like the cold weather, I will dig into that and see what's there. And this is seeds from zinnias. I have zinnias everywhere, and I don't plant them. I let them do their own thing. See, there's a zinnia. They just grow beautiful. They love the weather here. I have never had any issues with them. I don't have insects bothering them, and I don't have powdery mildew. Figure it out. I don't know. I just hit them with water, and they do fantastic. They do really good. There's another one. See, it's past its time because right now our weather's cold, so they're trying to flower, but we'll see. There's a purple cabbage that is now in its 2nd year, and it's struggling in there with the pepinos. It's not hurting anything, so I'm going to leave it. This is going to be all replanted, I think, with potatoes unless I change my mind. I harvested, didn't have a good harvest. Uh-oh, there's a locust. I don't know what he's eating. He's hanging on. And then here, this will all have squash in the summer. It gets a lot of sun. Look at more zinnias. Aren't they gorgeous? See, and I got all kinds of stuff in here. Though it looks like it's a lot of milkweed, I will tell you, I got celery and walking onions and all kinds of stuff growing, but that's not the way I want to grow in there. So we will change up the rainbow garden to go back to being watermelon and vegetables and everything. Isn't that gorgeous? And then in here, there's my thyme. This one's probably about 2 years old now. So it sits here, it's doing good. I'm starting to cover it, and I'll show you how I do it because I'm changing this up for the winter. And then this, let's step in here for a minute. Papayas. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I've got like 100 trees, and I don't want them. But the big ones I do. Gary's going to plant some. Lettuce is growing. Seed starts of lettuce is growing. This is a cutting. Hummingbird's lunch, another tree collard. Tree collard, it must have been a big clump, see? It was a big root. No, not a root. It was a kind of a stalk. So now it's grown a whole bunch of stalks. That's okay. And lettuce. So it's kind of like a few things. Geranium, more purple tree collard and stuff in here. Let's go out. And I never did cover this with tulle, and nothing bothers it. Occasionally, because the top is open here and there's no 1/4-inch wire on the top, a wren will come in here and he sleeps in the basket in the back. It's so cute. I'll come in here at night sometimes and he has to fly out. Hopefully, I try to come in here before the sun goes down, because he'll go up into the trees and then he'll shoot back down and go into the basket to sleep. And then that's the other one over there. I leave this. This again is sow thistle. And the bees and all the birds use this. They eat the seeds that are in there. So I leave that for now because it's not out of my way. More milkweed, getting them in pots. Just threw that one in there, but look, I'm trying to get them all in pots now. So we're working on that. And then we can walk through here. I've got eggplant. I've got all kinds of stuff in here. Celery. And just walk on through. And you'll see there's different things on the ground. I let the grass grow because I pull it and then I just compost it. Sow thistle. I pulled a lot of that out, but then I've got Swiss chard, lettuce, tons of lettuce and mustard and peppers and a lot of everything in there. And then of course we've got the popolo, and that's got seeds. We're going to collect some of the seeds and they'll stick to you. That's how they get moved around in the wild. Because they'll stick to dogs and well, they won't stick to dogs. In the wild, they could be coyotes and different things, even birds that can stick to them, and then they fly off and it gets dropped different places. But this has been great. This is covered in 1/4-inch wire, and then nothing has bothered it. I was going to cover it in tulle, but I haven't had an insect problem in here. So, I mean, the biggest thing would be your cabbage butterflies and locusts and all that, grasshoppers. Nothing's gone through the 1/4-inch wire. If it does, I could quickly cover the whole thing in tulle, but this has been fantastic. All right, you know what? Let's go take a peek at the front yard. Do you think it looks the same, or do you think it's changed? I've got a lot of geraniums. I've got red vein sorrel. I've got brassicas growing like mad. There's no squirrels chewing them up right now, which is great. Elephant food growing on the side. I've got all those black totes that last forever. So if you want a tote that lasts forever, get the black ones. They're heavy duty. They're called stackables, also by Sterlite. There are other companies that make those. They're a little bit more. So instead of spending $6 or $7, you're going to spend about 10 to 12, but they do last forever. And I do believe they're 20 gallons, but they do, change. I mean, they can be a little bit different. They can be 18, they can be 17, they could be 30. So whatever size you want, you have different sizes. So they do vary a lot. But out here, things are doing really good. The geraniums, I got succulents in here, some stuff that has to come out. The table, I'm going to change that up. And then I've got another table back there. And then we can walk down here. I really have to clean up my window with my houseplants. Haven't done that yet. Look at all the geraniums here. I love this. I want a certain color. I like that color. I snap it off and I propagate it. Look at that color. Isn't that gorgeous? Beautiful. Oh, my window looks so sad. Oh my goodness, look at that. But I'll get to it soon. I've got a lot of succulents that I've picked up when I go somewhere and I stick them in a pot. I think there's been a bird sitting up here. Probably, oh, look at the snail all the way on the top. Wow, unreal. Okay, now here I just started to pick some. I'm starting to harvest my ginger and turmeric. This is ginger, and I've got a whole bunch more in there. I want to keep it covered until I store it. I don't store it this way. But for now, this is fine. So I've been dumping it in the dish pan, doing one at a time. See, this is what the dish pans look like. Incredibly cheap, and I've never had one break. And I've been going through them. So instead of harvesting all of these at the same time, I'll come out here and throw some rubber gloves on and then just dump them in a dish pan and start going through them. What I'm going to do is start putting them back with all these leaves so they'll decay all winter on the bottom. maybe I'll show you, it'd be easier, and then top it, but not completely, because I want to be able to come back in the spring and simply plant and add what I need to it. See, this is ginger. See what I do with ginger? I take a tote lid, I cut it up. Anything I see with that color, I know it's only ginger in there. I'll know once I harvest it, but it's just in case it dies back, I don't know. Or I'm waiting for it to grow and I want to, let's say, move something or give it away to somebody. I'll know the pink is turmeric and that color is ginger. So if they still have the stake, that means it's not harvested yet. So they're still inside. This one is, the stake is gone, which means I already harvested it, but I left the soil for now. See, this one, I've got the soil way down, but the stake is in there, which means there's still some in there. So I'm going to go through this slowly and then decide, because of these trees, there's a lot of things changing. And we do have the elephant food here, and Gary did put this glass up. It's a glass door. I do stand here at night and the wind comes through and it's cold. And if it comes at an angle, guess where it's blowing? So this spring, when I start to plant, see how the leaf is blowing? And I don't even feel that breeze right now. See all the leaves? Well, at night, it's cold. They don't like it cold. Though I've tricked a lot of plants, I'm going to need to trick these. If I trick them, I'll get far more growth out of them that I want than what I've been getting. So we're going to trick them this spring and summer. So I'm going to do something else in there, and then let's go into the bird garden. We're not going to go into Gary's today. I'll do that separately one day, but you know where Gary's garden is. Today's the first nice day. Let me tell you what's been going on. We've been having this weird fog for about a week, and it comes in at night and it stays all day. So even if the sun comes out, the whole thing would be thick until it disappears. You can still just barely see it. Now we also have bad air quality, so it's holding everything down. So if somebody lights a fireplace they're not supposed to, it won't go up into the atmosphere. It stays, and it can choke you. It gets so smoky. So anybody down there lighting fireplaces, it will just stay stagnant. And it was really bad last night. But we've been having a thick fog, and like I said, it doesn't burn off. Normally by noon it would burn off. Today it did. It's the first day. That's why I was going to do a garden tour the other day, and I thought, you can't even see. Even during the day, it was so thick, it would have been hazy, and you would have said, what's wrong with your camera? And I would have said, it's the fog. Oh, look at this. Look, look, look. I don't think this is broccoli. I told you it was, but I don't think it is. I think it's a brassica, and it might be a hybrid, and when I planted it here, I thought it was a broccoli plant. Okay, everything goes back. Look at this. These are the small leaves. Look at this. I picked a whole bunch this morning. I want you to see this. This is so gorgeous. The yard looks nicer now than it does in the summer. Look how beautiful that is. That's one plant, and it's split off into two down there. I believe it's one. There was a trunk, and then it grew two, and look at that. Now it is possible it's underground and there's two, but I planted it, the pot and all, as you can see, it's kind of leaning down in there. But look at this. Oh, when the weather gets really hot, it's going to just disappear. Look how tall it is. Massive leaves. Not a speck of powdery mildew on this thing. This is something I really got to get cuttings from it because it's immune to it. Some plants are. There are certain plants, look at this. Isn't that gorgeous? Certain plants are immune to powdery mildew, and it could be the same type. You can have a zucchini and one won't get it, one will, and that one doesn't. And then this is pretty much done. A lot of the plants here are growing beautiful, but okay, this one's okay. I do see some ants on there, but see the dragon fruit? It molded due to this fog that came in, and it was wet all day. I mean, it was wet. You would go stand in areas and it would feel like it's raining on you. It was wet. This is my pomegranate I put in there on the stump. Doing really nice. This moringa came off my deck, the pot. I put it in there. It was in a small pot. Put it in there with a bunch of leaves, and we'll see how it goes. It's still flowering. If it dies back for the winter, I may cut it back and bush it out, but we'll see what happens. Right now I'm leaving it. And then this has worked out good. Oh my goodness. My pineapple sage was dying. So I had to trick it. It had too much sun. So I went ahead and pulled this off. I think this was also on my deck. This is a marigold. And I put it there and I draped it over the pineapple sage. Now the pineapple sage can peek through, that's a little red flower, and it can grow and be happy, because without it there, it didn't have enough shelter, but it's got shelter, so from the cold as well as from too much sun, and it's doing beautiful. Look, it's peeking through the bottom. This is the one plant that's growing there, but it's sending out shoots. It just was dying back. See all this dead growth? And I thought, I got to do something quick, really, really quick. So that's what's going on there. And then I've got some walking onions in there. So you can trick plants, and you can trick plants with other plants. So it works really good. I do it all the time, and I'm going to be doing a whole lot more. But that's the bird garden. I want to do things different this year. I want to still do the garden tour because a lot of you love that. I talk and ramble for sometimes an hour, and some of you are entertained and some of you go, ay, ay, ay. But I'd also like to do individual gardens because there's a million things I could tell you what's going on in here. And it's too hard to do it in one garden tour. So if I break it up and say, hey, we're going to do the bird garden one day, or we're going to do the chair garden one day, or we're going to do the rainbow garden, we're going to do the wall garden, we're going to whatever, front yard, then I can also do that. I just planted this. This is a cutting. This is the Hummingbird's lunch, which is a kufia. You can get any of the tube kufias you want, and hummingbirds love it. It was growing in this in a little pot. I don't even know what happened to the little pot. I must have moved it already. The roots got in there, so I planted it in this thing I made. See, it's on a stand so I can move it. And look how happy it is. I did it a couple days ago. And then there, oh, that's the bat face. I don't know why they're not flowering, but they may not be getting enough sun. I've got one that's doing good, and then I got bat face. Oh, okay, finally, I moved this one here. So they weren't getting enough sun. They need full sun, and they need watering. So that's what it was. That's what I thought. This one might be too shaded, so I'll get a new place for it. This is a cutting. See, this is what I'd like to go through with you and then tell you how each different cutting was made and done. But this one is the emu bush. This is the yellow one. Look at this. They love going in and out of this. These are all the feeders. I did lose one blanket flower, one of my cuttings in here. When my dad passed, I didn't even water the garden for a couple days. Gary was tending to some of it. I was just not doing anything in the garden. And they need a lot of water. They can take full sun, but they need a ton of water. This is the original mother plant in the back. It came up by birds. This one's fine. It's going to make a comeback. It all died back. I cut it back. Take anything on this. I can root that. Hold on. But this one I think is not going to make a comeback. I also have growing in the same thing some Hummingbirds lunch. So we'll see. If it comes back, it doesn't. I've got tons of cuttings I'm doing now off of it. So keep that in mind with blanket flower. It needs a lot of water, but it can take the hottest temperature, which is good. Just hit it with water. And then there's ways you can like do it in here where it's layered. So no matter what, even if you don't water it for a couple days, you've got water coming from the different layering. And you know how I love layering. And then that's it. And I've been working over here. Let me stick this in here because in case I forget. Okay, that's not the right way to do it. Hold on. Because I'm afraid I'll forget. Stick that in there. Hold on. It's amazing how some of these things grow. Stick that in there. It's going to get a lot of sun. This is just walking onions. It's got a little water in there. Okay. And that's that. This is one of those weeds. This is crazy. Look, I pulled the weeds out and I wanted it. And I stuck it in the watering can. Now it's growing in the watering can and I'll get it planted. There's one I planted. They get really big. I've taken walks around here and they're massive plants. I want to grow some. And then here I'm getting ready. See, it's too much sun right now. We still need the shortest day of the year. So the sun is really low this way. I could put curtains, but I'm not. Once we get the shortest day of the year, the sun will start to go up again. And then once I hit around February, this will be in pretty much shade. So everything does well. I worry about my fuchsias, but I will tell you this. I put an umbrella there. The fuchsia doesn't care about the sun on the leaves, not this one, but it does care about the sun on the trunk. So by putting this there, because it was dying back, the plant popped back because the trunk is shaded. But the leaves that probably would be the canopy of the plant coming through other plants, they can take the hot sun as long as the trunk has shade. Try that with some plants if you have an issue. It's worth it. And then here, I just covered this up until the sun changes. I don't have much going on in here right now. Let's take a look. These are the ones I make. You know that with these clear boxes you can get from Walmart. They're like $2, $3. And then we make the tops, whether we use the lid itself or other plastic, it doesn't matter, placemat. And in here, I've got a big lettuce growing in there. I've got new lettuce growing and then more couphias. And these are cuttings that got really big. So they're gonna need a big pot soon. And then this, oh, this is a nightmare. This is like 100, no, it's probably like 300 walking onions. I just started throwing them in there and threw soil on top. I'm hoping I can get them planted. But look at this. It's so green in here. Look at my papaya. Do you remember I had this in the back and it was dying, got all chewed up by the squirrels and everything. So I brought it here, planted it in that pot there, but there's no real bottom to it. Big, super big holes. And then there's another pot, layer. So I can fill both pots up with water. And look, my goal, if it makes it, see, it even got chewed here and had to regrow. Look at that, had to regrow there. But my goal, in hopes that it grows up. And the moment it gets up, I'll trim this back. If it doesn't, I'll try again. You saw all the other papayas I've got. Look at this. Even all these in here, I'm ashamed to say, they're not in the ground. When I brought them home, I set the pots there and they grew their roots into the ground. So they have all the footage they want to grow, but they're all in pots. So if I wanted to move the kufia, the hummingbirds, well, that's the hummingbird's lunch. There's salvias in there. There's different emu bushes in there. I could just yank them out because they're still in the pots. All of them are in pots. Even this one's in a pot. I do have to shape them a little bit better. Listen to the birds. It's just not cool. Okay, let's keep going. Now this has powdery mildew. Very, very damp. I don't worry about that. Just compost everything. You can't live on a dead leaf. Now this is the one that must be getting more sun. Look how beautiful it is. They were all transplanted exactly the same way, as exact as possible, but this one is elevated a little bit. I don't know, but this one's doing really good, but I'm starting to do cuttings off of this now. Look at this. Did change some things back there. I did put some sort of brassica back there. It's still in a pot. But I just planted that and it was, oh yeah, this is from the front yard. It fell over. So it's all twisted up. Figured let's just get it in there and see what happens. There's nothing in there right now. And then these are my tree collards. If I was smart, never said I was smart, okay? I would cut these things down and let them rebush. I'm so impressed how big they are. They're about 15 feet tall. They're beautiful, and I use the leaves. But at some point, they're gonna either take that fence out or they're gonna snap, and then I'm gonna be upset. So like I said, if I was smart, I would cut them way back and let them rebush. But I'm not that smart, and I like the way they look. And then in here, oh, milkweed. Look at that. Seeds from milkweed. They blow everywhere. So I've got milkweed in here, not too much. Just a little bit, and then these are different types of plants Gary had picked up from Home Depot. He'd bring some home for me and some for him. There's the Mexican sage, which is way too big and needs to be cut back. Got spearmint growing all over the ground. This is a cutting of mine. Is this not gorgeous? In a pot, sitting in one of these old upside down planters until I figure out where I want to put it. I love doing cuttings off of blanket flower. These are all going to be new. This plant is really happy. We're going in the winter. Look at all the flowers it's going to produce. Brassica's all in there. Do want to change this up. Not sure yet how. And then that's something Gary bought. I forgot what it's called. Some sort of sunflower type plant. It did have a flower. I should collect the seeds. I'll let it be and I'll collect the seeds because he bought that on eBay and he bought cuttings. And then this plant was dying. It was not in a good spot. And I said, well, put it in my garden. There's another one. It's all the same plant. I can't even find it. Oh, there it is. See what the pine cones? That's the plant. He just brought the pot in here and dropped it in there. And I can continue to fill that with leaves. And then the leaves break down all around the pots. So the plants can send their roots out and the leaves turn into our soil, which is really compost. But you get the idea. Then this I wanted to take out. Again, a massive regular tree collard. Oh my goodness. But look how beautiful these leaves are. I use these for compost tea. Look at the size of these leaves. I use it to eat. I use it to drink. Gary wants to make wraps out of them. He bought something that he can roll them and do something with them. So for now, it fell over. Here's the original plant in that 18-gallon tote. It was a 15-foot tree that eventually one limb fell over and it set root. Set root right there. That piece is laying there. I don't think that one set root. But again, I am going to move a lot of these. But isn't that gorgeous? Let's step back. So as long as it looks this pretty at this time of the year, I am leaving it. Plus it's edible, 100% edible, and that's what we're doing. And the stalks, oh my gosh. These stalks are so sweet this time of the year. So I use the top of the leaf for whatever I'm doing with it. Sometimes I just cut them up, put them in a pot with a little bit of water and butter and steam them. He loves this, but the stalk, I cut it, and then I either cut it with a knife, take the outside off, or I'll just chew on it. It would be like chewing on sugarcane or something. Or you take a carrot peeler and peel it, and then you can eat it. And of course you could steam it and do what you want if you want to too. Nothing else here, just same old, same old. This is broccoli. I had this morning. Picked a bunch for breakfast. I came out here and I foraged and I made an omelet with broccoli. So I took all the heads off already. And then just this stuff here, which is walking onions. This will be changed later on. Look at that. You know, I think we've made a full circle. So many tomatoes. Like I said, I've been picking the tomatoes. It's not something you would pick right now. The plant is pretty much done. And even the green ones that turn red, they kind of had a whiny flavor to them. So let them do their thing. I'm going to compost all this. This is pot marigold. That one's doing good. So I'll clean this all up and keep the pot marigold going. And then I can lift that. There's another pot marigold down there growing. And then I'll just redo it. I'm not going to empty this soil. No. We're going to build from the top and then plant tomatoes again in the spring. And look at this tree collard I put here in a pot. Big holes on the bottom can go into that container. Look how gorgeous this is. Look at the coloring. Gorgeous. Look at that one I planted. That one is in the ground, but it's got a pot next to it. So it's layered, so it makes sure it always gets water. Look at that. Look at all these. This is purple tree collard. You can see by the trunk. That one is, one's in the ground and one's growing here, but this is nothing. This is to protect it from other critters that come by. They just walk by it. So I plant them all different ways. I've been sticking those everywhere. I'm going to end up with all kinds of dragon fruit plants through here. So I've been working back here doing a lot. There's another one in the ground. So I have a lot in the ground. Just one I rooted and thought, it's going in the ground. 4 o'clocks, garlic chives, and then my papayas. That one's going to have to go. That one has got a problem. Even the new growth coming off of it has got a problem. We tried to save it. Gary staked it up, but it's not worth it. So at any given point, he can just cut it out. It's just sad. We have gotten a few little tiny fruits off of it, but the leaves are curled. So the plant is really impaired with something. This one's doing fantastic. Look at this one. And these are doing good. And that would help the other ones too at some point. That one's doing good. We cut it all the way down. And let me walk over here and show you. Success! I just don't want to call it success yet. This is a cutting off of this plant, which is trying to grow. I saw flowers the other day up in here, I think. And there's more flowers. Okay, so we got flowers on this one that's been cut off here. It's not the best plant. But I took one of these little tiny pieces off and it's been in here for, I'm going to say 6 months. And look, I've got new growth. I'm waiting to see if I'm going to get roots. Oh, look, earthworms. No roots yet, but later on I can plant it somewhere and it's off of this tree. I have tried before, Gary's tried, and with very little success. But this time it looks like it made it. Now, will it actually start to take off and grow? I don't know. Here I'm just trying to get some of the walking onions. See what happens when they don't get enough sun? Now these things you can just wash off. I would never in a million years spray this. You just take a hose, wash them into the soil, and they die. That's a black type of aphis. They call it black fly. But I do know that if you put them in the sun and they get warm, the black fly does not like that heat. So if it gets enough shade, like it can go down into the bottom where it's shadier, and then when it gets, when the sun comes out, they can travel up and down. Get them in the sun, especially onions. They don't mind. They love the sun, and you'll get rid of that. Otherwise, I don't worry about it. It really doesn't seem to hurt the plant. It'll come back in the spring just fine, and by the spring, they're gone. I don't know if there's water in here. They really wash off easy, especially with a hose. Okay, they're pretty much gone now. Just wash them off, drown them, get rid of them. Don't spray. I got too many birds that eat these black flies, and I don't want to put spray out there. I don't want to spray nature. Look at the citrus trees. I've been hitting them with water too. Happy, happy plants. Oh, that's that carrot plant. This is a geranium that smells like carrots. I got to figure out where I'm going to put it. More zinnia seeds coming up in there. All kinds of stuff coming up everywhere. I've got oranges, tangerines I think to go get. But here I just come here sometimes and I see I've got flags there, whatever I had around here, to give a little shade when the sun was coming through and it's too hot. And for propagating, you need it, but your onions really want full sun. But this is a little work area. So I've got all my cups here, and then here I propagate too. See, there's a rainbow garden out there. Look, there's 2 plants in here. Just simply propagating. And then you do want to take this off because this is the seed head. I have grown them once from seed and they don't do as good. Cuttings, they just take off. So let's see, this one is these are done. You take off all the heads that are done, and then it will keep sending up more and more. And they're just in cups. Look at that. Okay, I can't get to it. They're just sitting in cups. Easiest thing to propagate, that's a little geranium. And then this is another geranium, just sitting there. Isn't that cool? Have a nice view. Got the coyote rollers that Gary made and put up everywhere so I can come out here with Zoe, and she loves roaming around the yard with me. This is the safest place. So far I've never seen on any of my cameras a coyote. So it's been really safe. And then there's Gary's room. Oh my goodness. I think he did too much on the dragon fruit. You know the old saying, be careful what you wish for? Well, I think he was wishing really hard. So he's got all that dragon fruit, hundreds and hundreds of plants. He doesn't know what to do with it. That, I believe, is his gack fruit. I think it's gack. He's really excited with that. So we'll see what happens this year. And then here, more cuttings. Oh, I do cuttings off of this. The Hummingbirds lunch, you can just keep going. Another brassica cutting, another moringa. Oh, this moringa's been here for years. I cut it down, it grows back. So that's it. We kind of went through everything. You got to see my mess. This is where I work. There's my irrigation tubing. Just leave it there and come out here, and I keep a scissors here on hand when I need a scissors, and I just cut it. That's all I do. It's an old sink Gary set up, but I have my scissors. I can cut off any part of the irrigation tubing I want. Oh my gosh. Make gardening easier. Enjoy yourself, and don't spend a lot of money. And I'll tell you, you'll garden forever that way. So with that, have a wonderful day. Think about gardening in the spring. You can even grow certain things at the first of the year. We'll talk about that because there's plants you can grow then in the house and be ready to put out. But for now, don't forget to eat what you grow. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye. Look at all the tangerines.